One of the most exciting things you can do with Tableau is create a dashboard. This is a combination, a screen that has several different graphics on it, all telling you different things about your organization or about your data. And so what we're going to do is look and see how to create a dashboard using Tableau. Surprisingly, it's one of the easier things you can do with Tableau. So let's get right into it and see how we create a dashboard. So here is our Tableau interface. I'm going to go to Excel. I'm going to pull up a file, and what I've gone and done, I've gone and found the federal election data for 2016. I downloaded that from the Federal Election Commission, and so we're going to open that file. It's a pretty big file, so it's got election results from all over the country. So we're going to pull this up. It takes a few seconds, and when we get this data, we're going to start creating some interesting information. So the first thing I'm going to do from all these different types of pieces or tables or such that it's got, I'm going to pull the presidential primary results first. So we're going to go look at those, and it's going to download our data for us. So I'm going to create a couple of worksheets. Remember, we go down here to the bottom, we click on this item that has this little, looks like a little bar graph and a plus on it, the first box. So we're going to create worksheet. And I'm going to have some things. I'm going to put, let's take a look at the percentage of primary results for each of our candidates. We're going to pull the last name. We're going to do it by state. Okay. Now, that's a lot of data. It's really hard to read. So what I thought we'd do, and there's a lot of different candidates. So the first thing I want to do is go into last name, and we're going to filter that. And we don't need all these candidates. I'm really only interested in Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. So I'll first unclick all of these by clicking the None button. I'll then go select Clinton, and Trump will be down at the bottom because it's alphabetical. And I'll click Trump. And so we've got all this data for Clinton and then for Trump for this period of time. I also want to assign colors to these two candidates. So we're going to take the last name. We're going to put it down here in color. And I don't like orange being for Trump, so we're going to, though some people would say it matches his skin tone. But what we're going to do is we're going to pick, for Trump, we're going to pick red, because Republicans generally use red, Clinton, or Democrats use blue. So there we go. We've got red and blue. And I don't really want the bar charts. I want a chart, a geographic chart. This is going to look really cool. So we're going to have it convert to a geographic chart. And here it is for each state that had a primary. And it's really cool. You can click on each of these, and you can find out, for instance, Clinton had 53% of the Democratic vote. Trump got 74, almost 75% of the Republican vote. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, you can see down here, for instance, in Texas, Clinton got 65% of the Democratic vote, but Trump only got 26% of the Republican vote. Remember, Senator Cruz ran for president in the last election, and so Texas is Senator Cruz's home state. So that would make some sense, I suppose. In fact, if you look up here in Vermont, Hillary Clinton got only 32% of the vote, of the Democratic vote, because remember, Sanders is from Vermont, and so it makes some sense that he would carry his own home state. So this is kind of interesting information, and we're going to call this sheet primary percentages. So let's create another sheet now, just for fun. These don't really mean much, I suppose, but we're just having fun with them. Let's then go, let's look at our primary results. And we're going to look at actual votes this time. And we're going to look at, matter of fact, let's go back to percentage again. We're going to look at percentage, and we're going to look at last name. Again, I'm going to want to filter last name because I really only want, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of uncommitted. And I'm going to do it by state. Whoops. And in fact, I really only want Tennessee. So I can do it from right here. We're going to go here. We're going to filter. We're going to get rid of all the states, and I only want it for Tennessee. I just want to see what happened in Tennessee. There's a lot of candidates in Tennessee, as we're going to see. And what happened here? Did I not click Tennessee? I didn't click Tennessee. It helps if you actually click it. And there we go. And there's some candidates. Really what I want to see, if I do this by state and by last name, I'm going to get, I get a lot of things. I'm going to do it by party also. So by state, by party. So here's the Democrats, here's the Republicans over here. And I really only want to see Clinton and Sanders for the Democrats. So for last name, and I also want to see, let's look at Cruz, Rubio, and Trump. Those were the major candidates. So let's go in and edit, filter our name. We want to get rid of Bush, Carson, Christie. We'll keep Clinton. We'll keep Cruz, Fiorina, Gillum. Get rid of all these that aren't the ones we want. Keep Rubio, keep Sanders. We'll keep trying. We'll get rid of uncommitted. And we're left with something. Look, let's get rid of Santorum too and Bush. I don't know why I didn't get rid of those. So we'll get rid of Bush and we'll get rid of Santorum. And then I'm also, again, I remember I'm going to take my last name and I'm going to separate it this way. Actually, I think I'll do, instead of that, it's the last name. I'm going to do it by party just for fun. And again, when we click on this, we're going to change the colors so that the reds are for Republicans. And so we have a nice chart here that sort of tells us by unit. And what I want to do, I want to put the, I want to actually add the labels to this. And so we can go in and add labels pretty easily. And the way we do that, we're going to go up here to Analysis, and we're going to click on Show Mark Labels. And it's going to show us the percentages. In fact, I'm going to also set those so that they're from highest to lowest in each group. So we can see Trump had 38%, which tags along with what we saw earlier. If we go back earlier to our percentages, for Tennessee, we saw that Trump got 38.9% of the Republican vote, and Clinton got 66.07. Remember, that was in the primary. And this breaks it down sort of by candidate. So what we're going to do, we're going to label this also. I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to rename it, let's say Tennessee primary percentages. Okay, and so I've got that table, or that worksheet now done. Now there's actually a little easier way to do that. Let's go take those off of there. And what we can do, see this little T button up here on your toolbar? You can just click on that and that will turn on your labels, and so you'll have those labels that way also. So let's create another worksheet similar to this. I'm going to put the state. I'm going to put the party. I'm going to put the last name. We're going to filter state, remember, by just Tennessee. We're going to filter party. We don't have to filter that. Last name, we're going to filter. And we're going to filter last name by just, remember, those critical candidates that would add us: Clinton, Cruz. We'll get rid of all these. We're going to go down and get rid of all these that we don't want. And then we're going to pull up the actual primary results, the votes, okay? And this is going, and we're going to give this, we're going to put it largest to smallest, and then we are also going to label for our party. We are going to color code that, so as we've been doing, and you'll see that even though Trump only got 38% of the Republican vote, he had 333,000 votes. Clinton, who had a very high percentage of the Democrat vote, only got 246,000 essentially votes. So even though she got a much higher percentage of the votes, the number of votes she gotten was nowhere close to what Trump got in the Republican primary. So let's label this. This is, we're going to call this Tennessee primary votes. Now, we're going to do one other thing to this that we haven't done before. I'm going to show you that we can, while this is still open, we can actually create a worksheet using another data file. So let's go see how we do that. I'm going to go up to data, and I'm going to open a new data source. And in fact, I'm actually going to open the same one. And there it is. So I've got two data sources. But what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to pull the actual presidential general results into here. So I've still got my other results down here. I'm going to now do a worksheet for that. But I've still got my primary results. Notice my primary results are going to use the primary results file. Tennessee primary results, use primary results. Tennessee primary votes, use primary. Sheet 5, we're going to use the general results. And so you notice if you look at these slate just slightly. So now those are going to be just slightly different than they are for the general election. So I'm going to pull up. We're going to do another geographic map here. So let's do by state, and we are going to do let's just do by last name. And we're going to do general percentage. Okay, and for state, we're going to use all the states, but for name, we're going to filter this down. And at this point, there are a lot of people that were on that presidential ballot, but I'm really only interested in 2, right? I'm only interested in Clinton. There's Clinton. Let's see. There she is. And we're also interested in Trump. So we're going to go up to Trump. Somebody voted for unity, love, harmony. That's interesting. And we see the votes. Again, I'm going to, based on last name, I'm going to color code those. We're going to give, Trump is going to get the reds. Hillary will get to keep the blues. And so now if I put this up here in my map, I'm going to clip over here on the far right. I'm going to take my geographic map. And here we go, and I'm going to make this a little bigger so we can see it, and then I'm going to move it, sort of drag it to where we can actually use it here. That's about the same size, I think, as the one we had before. So now I'm going to rename that. I'm going to call that general percentages. So so when I've got that now, I now have 4 worksheets down here. So I got primary percentages, I've got Tennessee primary percentages, Tennessee primary votes, and general percentages. And now what I want to do, now that I've got these 4 tabs, these 4 worksheets, what I'd like to do is to create a dashboard that shows all of these at the same time. So we're going to use this item right over here. You said when we want to create a new worksheet, we use this first box with the X, the little plus sign by it. But now we're going to create a dashboard and use this second box. Now I want you to notice these over here on the left are going to change. Right now they're dimensions and measures. They're going to change, so what's going to be over here is each of these worksheets. So when I click on that, there's my worksheets. This is my workspace. As I drag these items over to this workspace, it's going to automatically size these for me so that I can create a dashboard. So let's first bring over the primary percentages, and that'll show up in this box. Now I'm going to bring the general percentages over, and I'm going to put that down below that. So we have both of those. I'm going to put my Tennessee primary bar chart over here, and I'm going to put my Tennessee primary actual votes over here. So now we've got a dashboard, and if I save this, it will show me it'll show up like this, and every time the data changes, it would change this data. So for instance, if I wanted to go in and let's just change the Tennessee primary. If I go to Tennessee primary percentages, and let's say I didn't want, let's say just for fun, I wanted to add in, I don't know, let's add in George Bush, and let's add in, just for fun, oh, I don't know, Huckabee, okay? And let's see what happens. Now you should see this change. And so it'll change, see it changed to here. And when I go back to my dashboard, which is down here at the bottom, there, look, it's added those. It's changed, right? So I can change the underlying data, and it'll save this. And remember, when you save a file, your dashboard, you want to save it as, when you come up, save it not as a .twb, but as the TWBX. That's going to be important to do because that will bring your data with you, and I won't have to go hunt for a data file to make your dashboard work. So this is a great tool if you want to set one of these up on your office computer so that you can track a lot of data. That's how you do a dashboard using Tableau.